and this could actually be a useful episode. Whoopsie, oh poop. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hey, this is Crazy Aunt Julie trying to figure out where my chapstick went. I heard it hit the floor. Let the chapstick hit the floor. Let the chapstick hit the floor. Okay. Hey, everybody. Ooh, I forgot to pop out my 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 chat. Pop. Pop. Okay. You'd think I'd get used to that by now. Anyway, so today is Thursday. I may not be able to run over much today because I gotta do taxes. I really have to. I have to do them now, so it's not last minute. But on the other hand, I might decide to blow it off and read some scripts tonight. So keep that in mind. It's always possible. I I don't know if I've mentioned this, and I know this is like TMI and all that, but I had a knee injury several years ago that I've been recovering from for quite a long time because I didn't get physical therapy and stuff because my doctor didn't make it sound like it was going to help, which is a stupid answer. I should at least have tried it. It would have been done so much faster. But because of it, I've been laid up for a long time, and I've been I'm really working hard on getting back in shape now so that I'm not going to be so pathetic. And I've had a really good day for that today. That's another thing. I need to get out and work out again. I know. It's like you can't just do it once. Why not? I worked out. I worked out once in 1973. No, I would have. Trust me, that's old for me too. Okay, what we're going to focus on today, since I don't actually have any new lines coming in to fix things, I didn't get a chance to record last night because I got into my studio last night and realized that my Kindle had ceased recognizing my cord. Oh God, yeah, no, David, I totally get. Well, this was mine was minor by comparison. The problem is it because it what it did was it started off a chain of different, and they were all soft tissue injuries, so there were nothing that could be dealt with by any kind of what should we call it, like operations or anything. There wasn't anything to be done except let them get better. Except physical therapy would have sped it up like tenfold. But shitty doctor. What are you gonna do? And but yeah. So basically, yeah, it's been. I mean, and the thing is, the knee by the time 4 or 5 months later it was feeling better. I'd been limping so bad that I'd thrown out the hip on the other side, which then it was the ankle on the and it was just one thing after another for a really long time until I just basically was laid up. I mean, that I basically accepted and just spent all the time I could lying down for a really long time, and to let everything equalize. And it's not a good choice, but could be worse, I guess. But and meanwhile, you lose all your muscle tone and you gain a bunch of weight and all that crap. Anyway, yay! But I'm definitely on the road to working my ass off again, and I'm real happy with that. I know. I'm just it's just you gotta take all your wins when you can. Plus, if I do reach my goals, my mom will send me to the German audio drama festival next year, and I'm like, okay, that is a goal I can actually get behind. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it is, and pain is. But I mean, at least I was always more or less aware that it would go away. And I know people who live with fibromyalgia and stuff where they just know it's never going away. And so I always feel like I need to tip my hat to that because they work with that. Anyway, that's just me. Uh Oh yeah, it'll be exciting. I mean, the big thing for me will be I mean, I want to. That's why I want to make at least two really really good shows, good half hour 19 Nocturne episodes this year, so that I have them on a CD to give away over there. or, or hope. I mean, I don't know if I count as amateur still exactly, so I need to find out if I can still enter their contest or not. But yeah, because I've been in their amateur category before. Anyway, what we're gonna do today is we're going to make Walla, because I can't really do much with the scenes, and we need some Walla for a couple scenes. Now, what Walla is it's background crowd noise. It's Walla 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 Walla, because that's one of the various things that they would tell crowds to say in the background for, audio dramas. If you're supposed to be in a crowd, it's Walla Walla Walla, or it's rutabaga 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 rhubarb rhubarbaga rhubarb, just to create a generic background sound. But it's often called Walla, and we need Walla for a couple of scenes. So I'm going to start with the hard part, which is the Swedes, because I don't know how many of them actually did any Walla. It's hard enough when you tell people do murmuring noises, or muttering, or whatever. And it's it's a whole nother thing when you're telling them to make up something um, in a foreign language to do. So we're going to try and steal lines from each of these guys that we can throw into this murmuring, and that aren't too exaggerated in any particular way, and put them together. So I'm going to actually save this as a new file. Make it the Walla file. Now, Walla is always kind of tricky. I mean, it's one thing when you can make it when it's a generic crowd, when you're like, oh, we're in a cafeteria or whatever. I mean, then you can use stock footage. You can use cafeteria noise, or here's a crowd of people noise, or whatever. But if you're in a specific group of characters that have specifically been there, as in this case, because in this case what we've got a pile of Swedes and a pile of Yorkshiremen and our main characters, so we don't have generic Walla. We can't use it. I mean, if it was a huge crowd, we could use some underneath just to beef it. But, we've got maybe 20 guys on each side at most, so we've got to create what we can with what we've got. What the crap is that? Text message? I don't do text messages. How the hell am I supposed to know what it is if it doesn't show me? That's why I don't do them. I can't tell what they are. I have a stupid phone. I very deliberately have a really stupid phone. I'll probably have to get a smartphone if I'm going to go to Germany next year. I mean, for the trip, something. I will have it in a case that's attached to my arm, though, because I'm not leaving it anywhere. Then I can take all the photos. Okay, so now we've got a file that we can make Walla out of. Now, we've got all these lines. We're not going to keep Nels's lines because he's speaking English. So, well, I might. Nah, he's got specific lines in the scene, so we're going to keep those. We're going to get rid of those. So we got Bjorn and Arn, and this first track of Arn is mostly just that one line he was trying to get over and over again. But we might keep some of that. Might keep something. Now, ultimately, what we're aiming for is only about 15 seconds at most. Okay, I mean, this is just muttering. This is just grumpy muttering in a crowd, but it has to be recognizably these characters. So, we're gonna go with... Let's see. Okay, right off the bat, I think I'm just going to. I don't want to just get rid of everything until I know what I have. So I'm going to move a copy over and then work with what I've got here. That copy can sit there till I'm done. Now, Oli has lines too, so I might not use him, but I might just use his voice underneath other voices. So let's go with this. And now this is, I think, just Swedish crowd noises from Arn. Do we have any here?
Huh? Oh.
No.
Hi, Julie.
This is not a bad way to start off the sound, and I think that's
We'll
probably.
talk to you again real soon, I hope.
What? Oh my God.
So we can use this. In fact, we can use like all of this individually almost. Now, part of what we're doing isn't just mixing a bunch of voices, we're making it as 3D as we can. Now, pardon my snorks. The the weather got all crunchy today. Context for this particular muttering is the crowd starts to think that the doc is trying to monopolize the cook for himself. Okay, so sort of a grumbling like, "Oh, hey," as opposed to a. I mean, there's different kinds of Walla, and that's part of what makes it tricky. So let's see if I took.
Du är en idiot. Vi var överens. Du hör du stört.
I'm gonna take some of his quieter lines, and we're just gonna keep them in. Come on, go away. There we go. Rather than his louder lines. It won't make any sense, but that's not the point of Walla. We just want the rumble of voices and of, recognizable voices. So I can probably use these bits. And I mean, and the fact that they're all overlapping and, working against each other helps with making it all less likely to be recognizable. And that's also very important. I mean, we don't really want recognizable lines in there unless they support the overall concept.
What? What? Eh? Ah.
And some of these these sort of like sharp noises also are going to be used at the end of the scene because we've got a different kind of Walla there. That's more of the emergency. Oh no, something's happening. So we got to blend two different kinds of Walla today, and this is actually a really good kind of an exercise in a way, Now, really, we're not going to use much of this here, and I still have a copy off to the side, so I don't have to worry about deleting things in this part of the frame. I think I'm going to go ahead and just skim down to some part in here. Actually. Oh, and just so you know, I am out the next 2 days. Tomorrow, I'm recording some lines with some kids for Fatal Girl. And Saturday, I have a chance to go see Kiss Me Kate at the Fifth Avenue. So I'm going to go. Oh, I'm so selfish. Now, one thing we can do, to beef this up, because I've got several different things from the same actors, is we can change where I was talking yesterday about pitch changes and how they don't usually sound real good. Well, it doesn't matter when you're in Walla. You can take, some line and alter it somewhat, and it's not going to be noticeable because it's under all the other lines, but it adds to the full bodiedness of it. Actually, it's really funny. I've been listening to a ton of Burns and Allen because I was looking for episodes that I wanted to mix and use for the radio station. And one of the things that goes on in their commercials for Maxwell House Coffee is they have this standard thing where they're like, oh, and they have the orchestra play, and they're like, oh, well, we've got, this kind of coffee for full bodied resonance. And then they have like the strings like, and this for the high notes. And it's like on the flute. And, and you blend them all together. That's the Maxwell House blend. And then the orchestra plays and it all sounds wonderful together. I mean, that's how they constantly demonstrate, supposedly, the superiority of Maxwell House Coffee in audio. And, it's brilliant. I mean, as an ad campaign goes, I suspect that one was a really, really good one. But it also tells you how, it also is something to keep in mind when you're trying to blend Walla. Because, say we just turned off the solo and we just played this. See, that's not too bad, actually. I mean, that right there is a grumpy crowd. It doesn't matter what they're originally saying. We've already got sort of the harsh, angry tone to it, because a lot of what they've been talking about is kind of grumpy to start with. You'll notice that I kind of start with with a couple of noises here that are, the sort of the prelude to this grumpiness. I've thrown this all in. Now, if I needed to multiply this actually sounds pretty good just the way it is. I mean, that's, to some degree, that's pure luck. I mean, it really is. It's not the kind of thing that necessarily comes together
What?
that comes together necessarily automatically. I mean, and like I said, I don't want to go too much past 15 seconds, because 15 seconds is actually a really long time in audio. I'm probably going to keep it under 10 as they're talking. But, that way I've got a goodly chunk.
No.
And, so, no still works. So, and it tapers off, as you can see. Now, I could repeat something if I want to keep it, but let's listen to it just straight. Now, because we've got this sort of lull going on, I'm going to move this up to fill this lull so that we've got a more constant sound as we're tapering off here. And I think I'm going to bring this out here as well, just to help. It doesn't really matter what's being said. Again, it's mostly the tone for the listeners to be able to hear that this is a crowd. I'm just adding a little bit here so that we beef it a little bit as it tapers off.
One more time without
Whoops.
animal till gag of dig. One more time without the problems with the teeth.
That would have been funny if it got left in. Okay, we'll just call it right there. Let it taper off. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that one because that's just a repeat of the previous statement. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. So let's see how it tapers now. Okay, Now, let's hope that that is a good ending spot. I mean, I can always fade it out earlier. I can always, multiply it if I have to, too. Now, the thing is that we're looking at the way I'm looking at this scene in the story. I'm picturing for in my three-dimensional vision of this whole thing. I'm picturing having all the Swedes on one side of the soundscape and all the Geordies on the other. So I don't want them all just in this middle portion, but I also don't want to just blend them and have them all just to the right or the left. I'll make it the right for the Swedes and left for the Geordies, just at random. I just have to remember that then the talking ones like Oli and Bill are on those sides as well, and that Doc and Lem and everybody are in the middle at this point. I mean, we did have them coming in from the right from the house, but it's the logging camp, so having the loggers on the right makes sense. I mean, it's their territory. So I'm going to spread these guys out. That's 30, this one's 40. Spread them out relatively randomly through the soundscape because it's going to give a more full-bodied feel to everything. I'll even just leave this one up here. That was 50 we had. Make this one 60. And go 70 and then 80. Now, what this does is it does make them feel like they're taking up space. Now listen on the right hand side here. See? Now, if I don't want this one to run over like that, which I kind of don't, I'm going to just take and I'm going to tempo him up by 5. Did that just do anything? Yeah, it did. Okay. And then it still hangs out a little bit, but not as much. So now we've got this pretty great, actually, Walla here. So, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, Walla is easy and hard. If it really. I was just gonna say, David, it's part of it is just being willing to just mash it together and see how it works, and then mash it together again and see how it works, and just keep changing it. I mean, it is. Of all things, it is actually very difficult to reach a point where you're comfortable just smacking things together and then waiting to see how it turns out. I've had no idea it was going to turn out well, but there it is, and it did. Part of it is just experience, part of it is luck, and part of it is just trial and error. Because trial and error is actually really huge for anything like that. Now, so if that's our first Walla, we're going to do a second Walla, which is going to be just a short, I mean, we're talking under 5 seconds reaction noise from everybody. And the reactions are just like, ah! Somebody has just attacked something, and this is just, ah! Pardon me. So, to begin with, I'm going to make them all in one screen again. And I'm going to highlight them all. And we're going to move them over. And then we're just going to cut them up. I just want to keep them close together so that I've got it all in essentially one screen. Pretty simply here. And really, we're not... This is even easier because we're not trying to really mix much. I need... we need an exclamation. I'm glad. It's good that it helps me to know that you're actually taking something away from it.
What?
Oh, I like that one. I may save that one for a second one. Not everybody's got an exclamation noise.
Oh! Damn! Ah! Oh!
Let's go. Oof, am. And that's really good because, well, I'm trying to, demystify and show you that it's not always super technical, so you don't have to be too worried about super.
Jaxeroli. Goop. Are they Hotterdijk?
I don't really have a good one from Lars, but I'm going to be re-recording some of Lars's lines, so maybe I'll throw in a Walla if I remember. I know it's like, oh yeah.
Wah! Wo! Wah! Eh? Ah!
Here he's really trying.
Eh?
Go with the eh and the vo. Those are good noises. Take this one out here. Let's see what we got. I don't think we've got anything in this track, but we can bring this one down. And no, it really does help me knowing that I really do appreciate knowing that this is actually, teaching something, because it really does, it's, among other things, it is actually fun to do. I mean, don't get me wrong when I say that mixing isn't my favorite part of stuff. It is just... Okay, I don't have another good exclamation from him. I'm not taking out these lines because I still have the other lines. I mean, these ones over here, and I don't want to delete those. And this is putting them all in the same lateral spaces that I put those into.
No. 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 No.
That's a good one.
No.
Here, we'll take this one, this grunt, without any context, and put it into one of these other tracks. Now, even though I'm using the same guy's voices in certain places, because they're stretched out across the field of sound, that helps some to make it not as obvious, but also where, I mean, it's just a general reaction, and they all kind of sound alike anyway. It's sort of, hey, something happened.
Oh!
What?
Damn!
And I'm gonna even tighten that up, but that's a good start. Now that I've got all the bits I'm gonna use, I want to get them as tight as I can. I mean, I want them to be kind of distinct still, so it's clearly not just a bunch of people all going woo at the same time. But you still want to make sure that it's good and tight. Something like this.
Oh!
No.
Damn! Eh?
Take this in just a skosh.
Damn! Eh?
There's a breath in here somewhere I want to get rid of. Somebody's breathing out of time.
Damn! Eh?
And then I can throw in, if I do the Lars one, I'll throw it in here. And that way, there's two parts of Walla. I'll get rid of that. Pardon me. And now, obviously, we want to move these ones. Now, if I copy and paste, remember, I'll lose all of my settings over here, so I'm going to duplicate it instead. Now, duplication keeps all these settings where they are, and then I can just delete the ones that are in here. No. And take this stack of them and just move them all the way up to the front. Except I kind of don't want to because I don't want to get confused. But I can move them closer. Did I get them all? No. Okay. And, keeping them keeping them like a couple seconds out makes it clear which tracks are part of the first Walla and which are part of the second Walla. And I can, shrink the screen and show them all. And that way I can output this portion, or actually what I can do is go mix into a new track, and then I can take this part and mix into a new track. Same way I do when I mix up the room machines. So we've got two different mixed Wallas here. Now we also have to do the Walla for the miners. And so I'm going to save this as the miners Walla. I mean, whenever you're creating a crowd noise, part of what you want to create is a full feeling sound, more than necessarily an actually representative sound. A crowd of 100 doesn't really have to sound like 100. It could sound like 15 people, which could be 5 people each saying something 3 times. The point is to feel full without being just so overwhelming that it just sounds like noise. So let's see what we got here that we can use.
Happen, that's a relief. Happen, that's a relief. And does start somewhat. You'll near stop here. Happen, that's a relief.
Well, see, this one I have to deal a little bit more with context because they are speaking English technically. So I can actually leave a lot of this in here.
And I'll start somewhat. It'll near stop here. And I'll start somewhat. It'll near stop here. And I'll start somewhat.
And again, I'm looking for about 15 seconds total, so I'm going to take this line and this line, blank this out. Let's see what we got here.
Need more to eat, Babel Bill? I don't get chuff where's this and rest. More to eat, Babel.
Now,
That
again,
owes these no called scabby for now.
I kind of want to go get something from Pikey from an earlier scene because these lines all appeared recently, and
And the fourth time for luck since the
and same with Bill. Again, like I said, it's harder when you're.
It's right up my cuff. How's that?
I'm like, here's a list of exclamations. Don't read them in a oh, that goes right up my kind of tone of voice. If somebody gives you exclamations like, oh, that's a blah, 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 that's oh my god, it's an exclamation. It's not just reciting words. Now I can do a little bit. Let's just play with it. I can do a little bit changing pitch and tempo, but not a lot. So,
It gets right up my cuff.
But this can still be under background kind of noise for the Walla. It doesn't really.
How's that? Toes up or grub? Nay. It gets right up my cuff.
A little bit, anyway. So I it just as this general tip to anyone who wants to act. If somebody says, do an exclamation, first you always have to read the context of the scene. In this particular case, the second set of exclamations are they hear gunshots, everybody goes, "Damn! What is that? Ah!" You go, "Oh, that goes right up my cuff." Sorry.
Guns or no, we could take 'em. I've never lost fight to a Chucky. You gormless bastard.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll put that in there because it's just part of the Walla.
Thanks for having my back, you bastard.
I really don't know where I come up with this shit sometimes.
11 by gum. I hate dating Baba the Biddle. I knows he's not called Scabby for note.
Now that line, because it is somebody's line, I'll bury somewhere in the middle here if I do use it, but I think we're good. And then I think he's got his exclamations.
Hellfire!
Oh yes, give me some.
His reactions over here. But he had the benefit of me directing. That's my brother again. So, and...
I didn't feel for the fight. Young Stormcloud him seems like a fair measure. I didn't feel...
Yeah, and, I mean, some of it's not going to get necessarily heard much. Any of it is, any individual thing, but sticking away from things that are too obviously recent lines is generally good. Or too obviously specific lines tends to be good for Walla. Now, let me open up some Bill. Oh, I'm going to open up a can of Bill ass. No, that sounded worse in real life than it did in my head. Because somewhere in here, didn't I download Bill? No, I got all your man lines stuck. Final credits. No. Okay, let me download it. I do like A Drive. Once I figured out how it worked, because it took me a little while. Because I was being stupid, but I decided I quite like it. I've used it for years. People are always like, "Oh, you need to get the cloud." I'm like, I already have a cloud. It obeys my commands, unlike your cloud. It's slow tonight. Let's see. Hold on just a second. I don't know if anybody else gets this. My web cache just clunks up like 3 times a day, and I have to go clear it. It slows everything down on the computer, and it just drives me up a wall. I was so tired of having to clear it all the time. See, I got 100 gigs of space here. I gotta clear a bunch of it out anyway. There's a lot of stuff in here that doesn't need to be here. All these videos sucking up space. Okay, one-offs. No, those are old. These are new. I got Haas. I got... Where did it go? Did I not even put it in here? Problem is that I download stuff on other computers. The only way I can get it to here, reliably, because let's face it, I'll be like, I'll download it to like my NAP computer, and then I'll be like, where is it? I don't know. Is to immediately put it in A drive so that it's always there when I need it. Oh Lord, so much junk in here. Nope. No. What is all this crap? People always trying to... Ooh. Cool. Hey, I'm teaching an undergraduate survey course which introduces the studying the humanities of their own 3-minute podcast. They're using Audacity. We want to use my videos to help teach. Woohoo! Well, of course. That's kicks ass. Sorry, I'm just like, woo. Oh, and some stuff. I have to do lines for somebody else. Oh, come on. Is it not here? Where did I put the lines? I know I got Scabby Bill. Okay, just watch. I've already put it into the directory. Or something stupid like that. Okay, original voices. No. Fanshawe, no. Original voices. Well, here's Pikey. I do want to steal some other lines of his, and here's Scabby Bill's original take. So let's see. I just want to have something from them, from these two voices, that isn't exactly what they just said in this same scene, if that makes sense. So I'm going to turn it to... I'm going to do some... Actually, first off, I'm going to do... Yeah, let's do this first. We'll do some pop muting, and then I'm going to take it down in volume so it looks...
Like scratch yourself in garden. Hour up on deck.
That is a good line to use. That's all I wanted. One good line for Pikey for the minor Walla. Because he's a very distinctive voice. He is also one of the people who actually knows what a Geordie type accent should sound like, because he lives up in that area, and he thought this was pretty hilarious. My writing, he thought the scripting was actually really fun, and which is nice because then
Lads are starving for a good Donnybrook. No problem there, lad.
Okay. That's a good line. But I want a little bit more, and that's just repeating it. So what's this line?
Come on, lads. There'll be cracked pizza for sundown.
Alright. That's a good one too, though these lines will need some cleaning. And yeah, that's more than 15 seconds already. So we'll just take that. But I probably do need to clean it. So, let Scabby in here. Crank this tight. Do a high pass filter on him. Actually, I'm going to go all the way to 500 because they're outdoors, and I've been going all the way to 500 anyway. I'm just going to use the noise profile from Beamish, because actually he's the guy who records Beamish, so he's got the same background noise, presumably. And let's see how that sounds. I know. Magic! How did you do that? You're a witch!
Struth.
Lads are starving.
Like scratch yourself in garden. Hour up on dead ball like bird in nest. That's melt me shoulder and none of
Come on,
these
lads.
laying.
There'll be cracked pizza for sundown, I'll be bound.
Now, I really do like ending on the cracked pates before sundown. Even though that's a line from an earlier episode, it still is a good, we're going to have a fight kind of line. Now, I'm going to get rid of some of these. This one is really useless except because it's so laid back for this particular scene. This is useless except as filler. I want to spread him out because I want this voice to go on a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and tempo him down. And then I'm actually going to put some spaces in just so that I can spread this particular line this particular voice as long as I can. So that he takes up as much of the space as I can. I'm going to move this one back so it's more centered, so that we're building, as the lines. So we start from just a few voices, add some voices, add some voices, and then we slowly taper off voices, and we'll see how that sounds. Except we don't want my voice going one more time. That's almost certainly here in James's track. Because that's my brother.
Lads are starving.
Wrap yourself in garden. Our deadfall like bird in nest. There's milk near shoulder than none will raise them in.
Now, because Bill is a voice normally, and I'm going to move him up a little bit so he doesn't trail quite so far off the back end, I'm going to change his voice. I'm going to pitch it somewhere. I think I'm going to pitch it down one. Because I want it less recognizably his voice because he's saying other things in the scene.
Lads are starving.
Wrap yourself in garden.
Actually, I want him to be completely under other people's voices. So I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what I did and take him in and tighten him up so that he's not on his own anywhere, because that actually is a problem.
Wrap yourself in garden. Our deadfall like bird in nest. There's milk near shoulder than none will raise them in.
There we go. And I'm actually going to tempo it up a skosh. There. Then he fits totally under all the other voices. I mean, it's good to have it to beef up the sound, but I don't want to have that, I don't want to have his voice too obtrusive. I think I'm going to go ahead and give James the ending. So we're pulling out on a totally different voice here.
Near shoulder than none will raise them in.
Fight to a Chucky.
Stop, silly thing. Okay, now, of course, the next step is to spread them out. And this is one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure Bill is sort of in the middle but off farther, and same with Pikey. So they're both going to be fairly far off. This version of them is. But I'm still trying to just spread everybody out across the soundscape. So now it sounds like this.
Wrap yourself in garden. Our deadfall like bird in nest. There's milk near shoulder than none will raise them in.
Fight to a Chucky.
And now you see, actually, I don't like the Chucky line. The Chucky is too much of a joke. And I gotta move it.
Gormless bastard.
There, that I want to have at the end instead. And I'll take a little bit to move this down just a skosh, so that is kind of the last registering sound. One, because the Chucky was so specific to one line earlier, it's a chicken. And so now you hear how when you spread them out, and of course I forgot and put them all right when I should be putting them all left. So from 70 right to 70 left. Come on, 70. 60 to 60. Because, of course, these are on the other side from the minors. I'm putting him at 50. And we'll put this one over at 80. Okay. So, now one more time.
I've
Right,
never
that's yourself, innit? Yeah, our little headfall like a bird in nest. There's melting shooter than none who raised them Ian.
Godless bastard.
But you see how just spreading them out throughout even one side of the soundscape makes it feel like a much fuller, realer crowd? And that's, as opposed to having them all either centered or in one place off to the side. Because it singles them in different ways and it really fills the space. So then, I should have kept open Bill and everybody. Let's see, we'll take these from this silly voice. I shouldn't say that. I'm being mean. And it's,
Flippin' heck!
I mean, really, a lot of the people who I work with
Hellfire!
are very much beginners, and I really do like to get beginners involved whenever I can in doing audio. So it just is something where I didn't give them adequate instruction, and that's real interesting. Anyway, and where, that could have helped a lot. So, let's see who else we have. What else we've got for expletives. I want to get at least Pikey and Scabby Bill, which I should have kept them open, and I didn't. Oh, I kept Scabby Bill open, but I deleted him. There's got to be some. Okay.
There he goes, lads. All good. But not in me ear. And we attacked.
Oh, okay, so this is actually from later. Huh.
Start with some loose women. Right. Someone make a list of things we need for the camp. Not but 3 up at front. Come on, lads. There'll be crack. Lads are starving for a good Donnybrook.
I mean, these are actually lines from later on, I guess, then. Okay.
Oh, God.
What I need is... Okay.
But not in me ear. And we attacked.
Huh.
There he goes, lads. All good.
Okay, first off, we're going to clean this one and save it. Because I do still have the noise removal on for them. It's much better. Okay, so I'm saving this. Oh, this is for next episode. That's why I have different lines. Durr, Julie. You're so clever. And... that's a good place to pull them from. To get... but what I really need then is to go back an episode. I just forget what I'm working on. Let's actually open up 6 voices. How about that? There's Scabby. I wonder where Pikey is. Ted. Well, I'll have to steal something for Pikey from somewhere else.
Reckon. And the 4th time for luck, since there's out. And moving on. Right. Not wait up, mate. What's I'm going? With he or nout? Right. Not wait up, mate. What's I'm going? Right.
I swear there's missing stuff there. Okay, I'm just gonna take a line here that actually works for an expletive, sort of. I mean, like I said, this part I'm just doing like a the crowd explosion part. So let's see what I can find from Pikey in in 7. Actually, I could probably go back even like episode 5 Pikey and see what we got here. Let's do that.
Louise! Struth! Ne'er seen a clock that could clean. Clack on devil! Hey up, Jimmy!
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Clack on devil! Hey up, Jimmy!
That's perfect, actually, because it's basically speak of the devil. Oh. So, but I'm going to speed that line up so that it's as tight as the others. I mean, because, like I said, I want to keep the exclamations really tight. So we're going to, actually, I'm going to probably speed that up again. Now, and it doesn't matter if we've got less on one side than the other. There's going to be plenty of general noise to make this, sort of the...
Devil! Hey, up, Jimmy!
So it's there's more reaction on the Swede side. Nobody cares. I do want to make sure that I'm going to move this up to here because we didn't have anything really close to center. All these other ones were way off to the side.
Devil! Hey, up,
it just didn't maintain quite the full sound otherwise. So we save this. And then I'll take all of these and duplicate them down. And get rid of those. Oops. No. And move these over. This so that I've got roughly the simpler visual for me to handle moving things and getting them where I want. And... and then I'll mix the tracks, and then I've got the Walla on this side. And there's the big Walla, and then the other Walla. So, I mean, mixing Walla is, I mean, like you see, it's a tricky kind of thing to do, and it's a kind of an art in many ways. But see, if we go back over to... and I kind of don't want to put it in the scene until I've had a chance to sort of mix these voices a bit more, but we're still missing some of the things to make this work. What I'll do for now is I'm going to make a temp file so you can see how this goes in. And we'll go, and maybe I'll use this temp file, or we'll call it mix. We'll call it, we'll add Walla. We can always replace the central track afterwards. And of course, to do this, we've got to move the voices around to where they're going to be. So all the Swedes are on the right, and the Tykes are on the left. Okay. Now, if I save that and then I mix it, not including the birds. Don't want to mix the birds just yet, so... I'll just delete them for now. No, actually. And then we'll mix everything. And then I'll put the birds back. I can just cut them to the clipboard while I mix and then put them back down. So we've got the birds, we've got this track, we know we've got all our... Can I move it? No, I guess not. Okay. So what I need is, we'll take the Walla, and then we've got the Swedish Walla. And because it's mixed, it's going to stay to the side that it's on, which is nice. And I don't have to worry about shifting it again. And then we've got the Miner's Walla over here. And then we'll have to adjust volume and stuff. That's just the way it's going to have to be. Because these are going to be very overwhelming to the dialogue otherwise, and you don't want that to happen either. But you always build it first, then you adjust it. Okay. Now, get up there. I want my note. Okay, muttering starts. So, write it around there. And get both sides. Now, I'm going to take both of them down by 10 because they are really loud at this point. Okay. And we want to make sure that, and I'm actually going to low pass filter them at the 1000. And this just dulls them a little bit. Hi, girl. This just dulls the sound a little bit so that it's not going to be as obtrusive and overlap so much with the voices that are actually central. Okay, so then we listen to this.
You stay. Our house. Cook a lot.
I dearly hope you're trying to talk to them, because I ain't that bleeding thick.
They are the ones that need to agree.
You see how it's getting over all this, you know, it's very much. Now, I can take these, and I can move the Swedes even farther to the right, and the Thais to the left, to, you know, to help break that out a little bit. I can also volume up this part, you know, and let's see how that works.
You stay. Our house. Cook a lot.
I dearly hope you're trying to talk to them, because I ain't that bleeding thick.
They are the ones that need to agree.
Gan then.
You come, eat. You eat.
Eat.
Okay, turns out I actually want a little more Walla. Oh, unfortunate. No, it's not actually that hard. I mean, you can hear how little we hear of the individual voices in here. It's really not a bad idea. What we're going to do, though, is duplicate both of these. And do just like I do with music. Now, I need to figure out where I want it to end. Because in here, there's still...
You eat.
Eat. Nels.
Otter.
Thank you. Otter.
Oh, all right. You come to house. Ata.
Okay. This is not a bad place for it to start, you know, sort of winding down. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of lining up where the let's see, let's get closer in here, where the main bulk of the voices are, so it doesn't really taper off, it just kind of continues, and pull this over. And then I'll do the same thing with the other side. And I'm still going to need to take them down a little bit more, so let's go another 5.
Our house. Cook a lot.
I dearly hope you're trying to talk to them, because I ain't that bleeding thick.
They are the ones that need to agree.
Gan then.
You come, eat. You eat.
Eat. Nels.
Otter.
Thank you. Otter.
Oh, all
all right, you, come to house. Ata.
I still want it really to come a little bit further. So, I mean, it's not doing too badly, but the next thing I can do with it is I can tempo it down a little bit. You don't want to go too far with that. You don't want to get any kind of artifact noises, because tempoing can cause, weird, like, chimes and stuff if you tempo too much. Still not quite reaching where I want, so I might have to go with a third one. And in this case, what I'll do is I'll paste it and then paste one of these over here. And that gives me a lot more leeway as to where I'm going to end the whole thing. Now, I like the way they taper off themselves, at the ending of my track. Actually, let's undo that. And let's undo the tempo. Okay. Then let's copy it, because that's a little bit shorter and a little bit worse. Second verse, same as the first. Okay, no. So, good Walla is no joke, though. And, okay, so I'm not sure exactly where we're going to taper off. We're missing a line here, which is part of it.
Sure, they do not want to give her over to the doctor.
And in fact, it probably might even continue in
Ne.
here.
Segerhan vi etoroxa.
And part of it is I'm going to have to just adjust it once I get all the lines in. But in general, what we've got now is this.
Our house. Cook a lot.
I dearly hope you're trying to talk to them, because I ain't that bleeding thick.
They are the ones that need to agree.
Gam then.
You come, eat. You eat.
Eat? Nouns?
Otta.
Thank you. Ata.
Oh, all right. You come to house. Ata.
Something else, la la la. But in general, I mean, that's a good start. And once I get it fixed in, I can get a more specific. But yeah, just the general crowd noise. And as I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were here for this, iGirl. Crowd noise is one thing when you're in a generic crowd, when it's just like a cafeteria or a store. It's a whole nother ballgame when it's like this, where the crowd is characters we've heard and has a very distinct sound, which is why I had to construct the Swede Walla and the Tyke Walla individually and put them to either side of the soundscape, because we can still hear
Eat?
in
Nouns?
this crowd
Otta.
Thank you.
the same characters that we've been dealing with, and the same voices, and the same type of voices, same accents. So let me then, I will copy in the exclamation Walla for real quick. I mean, again, this is also going to change when we finally get all the voices. Let's see.
Thou knows these no called scabby for nout.
Good.
Nice to know that people can be peaceable.
Mr. Fanshawe, I think these are headed this way.
We're going to have, yeah, there's gunshots, and then Ezra makes his... Actually, let's see. Yeah, the gunshots actually cut the doc off, not Ezra. Then there's a reaction, then Ezra says that. I'm just going to put the reaction out here for now. Because, again, we don't have the finals for that yet. That's the Swedes, here's the minors. So we'll get the reactions all together over here. And again, I have to make sure I put it in the right track so we've got the right side they're on. So
This way.
Damn.
Oh,
Hey!
Damn.
So that turned out pretty well. And Walla is something that, you know, you need throughout many, many different scripts. Anytime you've got a crowd, I mean, there's certain reactions you can fake up as necessary, but it's a good idea if you're casting people and putting them in a script, to point out to them if there is Walla you need from them. It's like, don't forget, we need your reaction noises in this scene, or we need this over here. Especially if you've got it in the script as like crowd, because people don't always notice those lines when it's not got their character's name on it. It's very easy to miss stuff like that. So, you know, there's things you can fake. You know, you can have a ooh that's kind of generic, or a like an audience or something. But the accents in this would prevent me from using anything generic, because it just wouldn't sound right. Unless I found some, you know, perfect group of miners and perfect group of Swedes somewhere. Okie dokie. Oh, shall we have a little bit of script? I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here because